solving equations with multiplication, division that includes negatives, negative numbers. So there are two different ways you can look at these. You can either look at an expression like negative 3x as it being negative 1 times 3 times x equals 15. Or you can look at it as, and I'll do this over here, just simply negative 3 times x equals 15. And which way you do it is entirely on what is easier to you. And I recommend doing it this way because it is simpler and it takes less steps, but I'm going to show both right here. And then going further on these problems, I'm only going to do the right one. And whenever you see a negative number, you can always treat it as being negative 1 times the positive number. And so then effectively what we're doing is we're going to take this negative 1 and divide both sides by negative 1. And we know that whenever you divide something by negative 1, you just swap the sign. So then this is going to become 1 times 3 times x equals, swap the sign of the 15, becomes negative 15. And so now 1 times 3, we can just simplify as 3. And so now the next step is going to be dividing both sides by 3. And we know this will give us a big 1 right here. And then negative 15 divided by 3 will give us negative 5. So this gives us x equals negative 5. Now we can do that in one step just by dividing both sides by negative 3. And so what you'll do is cancel out this giant 1, so we just get x on the left side. And then on the right side, we will know that you first do 15 divided by 3, which is going to be 5. And then, because it's a negative sign, you swap the sign. So we have x equals negative 5 again. So now over here, if we do this, we divide both sides by negative 3. First, we will do 15 divided by 3. And that gives us 5. And we know this is going to turn into a 1, give us x. And then we know now carry down this negative sign. So that's negative 5. But then, because the negative 3 is negative, we now will swap the sign and get x equals 5. And that's a pretty roundabout way to do it. But one thing you can just know is when you're dividing a negative divided by a negative number, the answer will always be a positive number. And that is a very good thing to remember. All right, so now this last problem is a little more complex. Again, we know, as always, the goal is to get this x alone. Now, the first step we're going to do is try to remove this divided by 6 from this whole expression. To do that, we will multiply both sides by 6. And we now get x plus 4 on the left side. And we get negative 4 times 6, which is negative 24. Or you can do negative 1 times 4 times 6, which will give us 24 times negative 1, which is negative 24. So now to get this x alone, we will get rid of this plus 4 by subtracting both sides by 4. And we know this is going to give us 0 right here. And negative 24 minus 4, we will get more negative. So it becomes negative 28. And we get x equals negative 28.